And Monas, I'm sorry. I know I'm usually here earlier, and then I feel bad you're sitting there all alone at the house, and then I didn't log on. I apologize.
Oh no, it's fine. I just logged in.
Oh, you did? So it wasn't too. I didn't get you too late.
No, I logged in at around 7:50, so it wasn't too bad.
You only waited 3 minutes. Still, I would prefer you not to have to wait any time.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. So the Texas Rangers have not announced what they're going to do with the games this year. I guess, did you see that in the news?
I heard about it. I was gonna watch the news, but I was too tired, so I just fell asleep.
Oh, last night or this morning? Because I heard it this morning.
I heard it last night. The only thing I heard was like the preface to it. So it was that most of the North Texas teams are opting out except for one, but I didn't know which one wasn't opting out or they were gonna have limited capacity.
Yeah.
I assume it's the Cowboys.
Play it one more time.
I said that. I think what I heard in the news yesterday was that uh, they said that almost all of the North Texas teams opted out for having fans at the stadiums, except for one. But I didn't like stay up to listen and hear which one that was. So I would assume it's probably the Cowboys because they can't really have like another year like last year where they don't get that much revenue coming in from the stadium.
Oh yeah, they're taking some hits for sure. Well, what I had seen in the news this morning was the Stars and the Mavericks are going to keep it where they are in terms of their capacity. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Stars are only, is it 10 or 20% capacity that they run?
I don't know. I want to say it's 10.
Yeah, 10. So they're gonna remain at that at this moment. They haven't changed anything. They're gonna wait and see what's gonna happen because their season's over anyway. So I mean, I don't feel like it's just they're not really taking much of a risk by saying anything at this moment. I think baseball is one, the one where it's coming up, right? Baseball season is upon us, and they're not going to. They don't have. They have more to risk by making any kind of statement than anybody. So baseball said that they had made a decision, but they would make one within a week. So there you go. There you go. I don't really go to the games all that much anyway. I typically if I'm going to watch a baseball game, I'm usually going to do that from home, and I'm not going to watch a lot of baseball games anyway. I'll watch them if my son's watching them. I'm not going to, or my neighbor's watching them, and there's somebody there that I'm going to watch them with. I'm not going to sit down and watch. And I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to sit down and watch a baseball game by myself.
I feel the same way. I mean, I just watch all the games at home. I don't like if I get to go to a game, it's more fun. But I mean, also at the same time, I feel like no matter where I sit, it's gonna be worse than when I'm at home.
Yeah,
There's gonna be something or someone in my way.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, your field of view is so much better at home with the camera on these players, especially with the new technology they have on these cameras. It's amazing. It truly is amazing. I know that baseball doesn't do it because they've got balls flying through the air everywhere, but all the other sports, they've got those cameras that ride those little zip lines all over the place and get super good footage of the games. Yeah. But to me, I'm not a huge sports fan, right? It's not something I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna wake up, I can't wait to watch this, that, or the other. I've been co-opted into it from my son more than anything, and pay attention to it. But there is something about the camaraderie that you get from watching these things with friends and neighbors and senses of community. I don't think people live in isolation, right? People don't live in isolation. If you live in isolation, you're not part of the community. If you're not part of the community, what change can you influence, right? So the more you're in it, the more that you kind of participate and put your two cents into the pot, so to speak. And so whenever I get together with my neighbors, we're all growing together as citizens and influencing each other and talking and sharing ideas. The marketplace of ideas is open. Um, and so I feel like sometimes it's my duty to be at these places, to visit with them, and these events give me an opportunity to be a part of that, if that makes any sense. So I appreciate him for that.
That makes sense. I completely agree. That like, I think without, I mean, sports is one example of it, but like, you can take any number of things. But if you're not part of a community, you're not influencing change. And I mean, I understand that some people like that, like they like their personal time or like they like to be isolated from people. But
Oh yeah, absolutely.
even those people have to have some like sense of community because they were. I mean, I don't know every single person, but like you don't really know someone unless you talk to them, and if you don't talk to anybody,
Yeah, you don't know somebody unless you talk to them, and you can't influence change if you talk to the same people that look and feel the same way you do. So, being around people that are going to be of the same opinion all the time are not really going to grow with each other and influence any change. Everybody just gets in their corner. And I think that sporting events allow that. There's a theater in Dallas that I used to go to all the time. It's a popcorn theater, and where the audience is solicited to participate with the actors. And you go there and you watch the play, and you throw popcorn, and you talk to your neighbors and the people behind you. It is a ton of fun. Um, and I like going to those too, right? And it just brings out, I feel like, the best in everybody that's there. Um, and I'm really, I worry about those people. Those actors have probably really had a difficult time in the last year and a half. Because I mean, that's their bread and butter, right? That's their mechanism for earning a living. So there's been a lot of innovations where people are doing these, plays via, the web and things, but those interactive forms of theater where the audience gets involved with popcorn, and those things are. I'm looking forward to by the time you guys graduate, being able to participate in that again and do those things. It's a lot of fun. I think the thing that really makes me that I'm most looking forward to is children playing at my house. My daughter's by herself a lot. I mean, a lot, right? And I think the United Nations has it as a human right that children have the right to play, and I want my daughter to have that opportunity to play. And but it's the same idea, right? So if when I grew up in a small town, the only people that I was around all the time were a lot of people that were of pretty much the same ideas, right? We're all in this little bitty community, and I was a great English student because whenever I would read books that our English teachers were assigning, and I would be like, oh my gosh, I can't. You live through the eyes of the characters in the books, and they were from different places and different times, and it was so much fun. But it wasn't the same as being out and about in the world, and I'm ready for my daughter to be out and about in the world again, and doing that at pivotal moments in her development. At least for you guys had a lot of chance to do a lot of that play ahead of time. All right, that was a nice discussion. It looks like most of you guys have made it into class now. Let's see how you guys are. Same things as yesterday. I'm not going to choose my favorite dog, number 6. I'm not going to choose that dog. I'm going to go for, how am I feeling today? You know, I'm going to go how I felt this morning. Um, I had a really different, I kind of thought that it was Friday. I was unusually tired this morning, so I kind of feel like the otter today. There's a, I'm getting more eights than normal. What's up with the eights? What's up with the panda bear? Because when I interpret the panda bear, I interpret the panda bear as being like, it means that it's upside down, like the world's upside down, like what the British played when the United States defeated the Brits at the last battle. They played the world upside down. So like things are different. Hey, good morning. So what's up with 8? Those of you guys that chose 8, you can drop in the chat or you can say one or the other. Because I'm not sure how to interpret the panda. I'm really not. How would I interpret the panda? If you could put the panda in a word, what is everybody? Yeah, keep it private. Let's just see how different the responses are. If you could describe how that panda is feeling, how would you describe that? Okay, that's funny. So most common answer I have got so far is this. Oh, sorry, I texted that to only Earl. I got this. That's to summarize all the different things that people put out. But it's funny because I got I got a very wide array of answers. I got everything from fun, playful, relaxing to pain. And I don't see necessarily, I didn't get the pain in there. And if that was you, if you chose 8 and you were in pain, please drop a chat and let me know that is you. All right, just as a reminder of attendance, we do take attendance during this, and I'll take attendance at the end of this. And so please, when at the very end, please don't bounce real quick so I can get attendance, because that's where they send the robocall to you guys. 27 days. And I want to also mention something about the tip. 27 days to game day. And I do this as well whenever I'm taking exams. When you're going through this, there's something here. This is a tip that is really important. Whoa, is this thing not going to work? I don't have time for that today. Oh, hold on a second. I'm running into technical difficulties. Well, that ain't going to be good. Okay, well, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate what I was going to point out. There's a danger in this. I don't know if anybody's ever talked to you guys about this. When you put a mark on the exam booklet to skip, that's an excellent idea. However, what happens is you will be skipping on your answer document. It is very easy to make a mistake. What would that mistake be? Somebody help me out. What would that mistake be? When you skip something on your book on the test, what does that set up the chance of happening on your answer document?
You might mess up the bubbling and bubble for the wrong question and then keep going.
You're correct, sir. And this happens more frequently than you would imagine. I've had students, I would argue that it's maybe not every year, but pretty close. I'll have a student that will be like, oh my God, I messed that up. And then you panic and then it ruins the rest of your test session. So what I do whenever I do this is I will point to, and I'm doing this in my head, I will point to the question that I just answered. And then literally in my mind, I will be number 9, and then I will go to number 9, and then number 10, and then go to number 10. If I skip, you have to be careful if you're using this strategy. It is an excellent strategy. Answer the ones that you're most comfortable with, and then you're going to move on. My least favorite part of the science ACT is the battling scientists, and that's where they have the different opinions, and the scientists are using evidence to back up their different conclusions. And I just don't really care for that section. And so when I hit that section, usually I would skip it and move on and then come back to it. But you also have to be careful with it. So keep that in mind. Eleanor Roosevelt. Now, I don't know as much about Eleanor Roosevelt as one person here. Anybody guess who the person in this building that would probably know more about Eleanor Roosevelt than any other person? Who would that be? The Roosevelt expert on this campus. who could talk to you about Eleanor for hours. Oh, crud, I'm not seeing the chat. You guys aren't talking to me. Why don't you keep me on more? Yes, 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 yes. You guys are 100% correct. You must have him as a teacher. Mr. Rooks loves the Roosevelts more than he loves breathing. He lives and breathes the Roosevelts. I don't know, have you guys that have his class, have you gotten to the Roosevelts? Okay, good morning. But they were an interesting couple. So the thing about the Roosevelts, it says that she was the longest serving first lady. She was. This is before we had made the rule that she could only serve 2 terms as president. And I don't remember how many years Franklin Roosevelt was president, but it was a long time. And she was extremely influential. A lot of times people would argue that she was the first female president because she had so much influence within the White House and the executive branch, and even within the Congress. She did a lot. She was a very, very, very strong-willed a woman who a lot of people looked up to at the time and really kind of set the tone for what was to come in our history. Again, if you're going to be making any donations today, tomorrow, and then Friday are your last days that you can make donations. And I didn't know that you can contact Kennedy Johnson, but apparently you can. If you have any questions about this, you can click, and it's easy. You can look at that email address. I wish everybody had one that was that straightforward. It's just her name and 1234 Gmail. That is a very coveted email address. If you can get your full name and 1234, man, that's a good one to hold on to. So there's probably several of Kennedy Johnsons, and none of them can have 1234. She was early in Gmail. If you have questions, you could email Kennedy, but you can also make drop-offs. Randy, is anybody making donations over there yet? Yet seen. So we don't know. I'll look during the next period to see whether there are any donations in the box in the lobby. College highlight, and this was a university that I have never heard of, yet I was looking at it and looking at how it's ranked. It was ranked in the top 10 universities for adult learners. So that when I see that, I'm assuming that the adult population is potentially much higher here than other universities. Nevertheless, it looks like it would be a very influential place to be. Nebraska, it says notable alumni. So there's somebody from Nebraska and Minnesota that were members of the House of Representatives, and one was a senator. Doesn't surprise me if you look at where the university is. Bellevue University is in Bellevue, Nebraska. So you go figure. Don't know much about it outside of that, other than what you can see there. Not really sure. I'm curious, any of you guys going to apply to a small liberal arts university? Really? All right, hold on. If you are interested in a liberal arts degree, I'm going to make this recommendation again. This is an excellent book. In Defense of the Liberal Education. It is a New York Times bestseller. It is written by somebody I admire. I went and got to see him speak 2 years ago on a speaking tour pre-COVID, and I waited in line for like an hour and a half to actually meet this guy. Fareed Zakaria is a fantastic author. I cannot tell you enough about how wonderful this guy is. Grace was one of my students last year. she was really curious about this topic as well, and she give you because she was considering a liberal arts degree, and she read the book and she was really impressed with the book as well. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a video. But if you ever get a chance to hear Fareed Zakaria speak, you ought to listen to him speak. He's an amazing thinker. He is an amazing author. You would really enjoy this book if you're interested in the topic of a liberal arts education or a liberal education, and his argument for it. And his argument really goes in multiple directions. You would probably enjoy this. I feel like that you guys would enjoy it. It's a light read. It's not hard to read. It's an easy read. You might want to give it a read over the summer when you have a little more time and freedom. You can sit outside in the warm morning air and enjoy a nice book. All right, I'm gonna get you guys split after a little warm opening. I got to get back to where I was. Let me see if I can manage to get back to where I was. I need to stop sharing and get back to there. I think I can. Okay. Think of your favorite teacher you've had so far. What are characteristics that you like about that person? So, of all the teachers you've had, pre-K to your junior year, what was a characteristic of that teacher that you liked the most? And just drop it in the chat. And as soon as you drop it in the chat, bingo, split. You guys be good. Unless you're going to be in first period. I'm sorry, baby. Number room. What do you mean? Oh, this physical room. Yeah, 207. Ow! Woo! I electrocuted myself. Static electricity. Thank you, Earl. Thank you, Sarah. You guys have a good one. I'll check in a bit. Thank you, Keaton. That's awesome. You ought to send me some of your works, dude. I'd love to see them. I'd like to really show them to my daughter too, because she's really into, I think, some of the very same arts that you've got. Thank you, Santos. Thank you, Wallace. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Rosales. Hey, Santos, if you're still there, what do you mean by treating you like adults? If you don't mind that, if you don't mind me asking.
I mean, I've just had some teachers that, like, oftentimes they come off as like condescending because we're younger. And there's one particular teacher that I have in mind, like Miss Johnson, actually. Like, she never made at least me feel like that. Like, I always felt like I was her equal.
Okay. So she's treating you like an adult. Gotcha. So not BSing you or anything. Oh, crud. All right, I'm gonna get you doing that. Oh, sorry, Mom, I said I didn't get to see yours. Oh, sorry, Abby, I didn't get to see yours too. Mia, I know that one of the teachers that you mentioned actually thinks the world of you as well. Like really, really loves you to death. So if you're still here, I'm glad. I hope that you heard that. You have been the topic of several conversations. Oh, she's not here. Dang. Did you get the same breakfast that he did? You got the strawberry little bar thing? What? Did you get the strawberry bar thing? No. Did you got 2 sets of Fruit Loops? What kind of deal is that? Huh? What? Well, there was like another little, what? Oh, it's applesauce. 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 Everybody wants to get some applesauce. They're delicious. Don't you know? Is there sugar added to the applesauce or is it straight up applesauce? What's the ingredient? Let's see. Unsweetened. That's the kind you want. That's the kind you want. They give you the good stuff. None of that high fructose corn syrup, applesauce. No good. You say hi, Chris. Look, it's more excited.
What are y'all doing? Good morning. What's up with everyone? What's happening? No, I'm nervous. What are you doing? Good? What, are you guys in bio right now?
Yeah.
Oh. I've been seeing these in the classrooms, so.
I got permission.
Good drugs. You want some, you like the egg binding illustration? Oh,
What is it?
literally egg binding. So there's, you see the ovaries, right? The fallopian tubes. And then that would be, for a mammal, a uterus. Now, yeah, but
What do you
since,
mean it would be for a male?
for a mammal,
Oh, a mammal.
right? But for a reptile or a bird, it would lead to the cloaca. If you ever want a really good laugh, Google SNL cloaca. They did a great skit, and it included egg binding, which was actually really funny. But my chickens, over the freeze that we had, Patty decided to take the chickens and put them in the garage because she was afraid that they were going to freeze to death. And I told her, I said, the bigger problem you're going to have is they don't have their nesting box.
Yeah.
And if they can't lay an egg, the eggs will bind in their cloaca, basically have a bottleneck that stops, like a train wreck in their cloaca, and that will kill them. I mean, it's not like, is it possible it's going to kill them? It's like, it's very likely it's going to kill them. And the only solution would be to dig into their cloaca and get those eggs out, right? And that's not an easy thing to do.
Did you have to do that?
No, I put the stupid chickens back outside. I was like, you're gonna kill the chickens, man. I was like, you're gonna kill them. The eggs are gonna bind and they're gonna die. Because a lot of times the chickens won't lay an egg if they're not in their nest or in their nesting
Yeah,
box.
yeah,
They'll just
makes
be like,
sense.
oh, I'm just gonna hold on to this one. I'm just gonna bank this one.
Then I'm gonna say,
Yeah, well, yeah, or I'm laying it in the improper location, right? And like, you don't use the bathroom in the middle of your living room, right? You go to the
do you
toilet.
have to use fake eggs with your chickens?
I mean, some people do, we kind of jump start them, but
No.
just kind of show them where to go.
Yeah.
Kind of like a litter box. No, mine just knew. It's, I feel like the more domestic an animal becomes and away from the wild that they get, you kind of have to kind of train them because they lose a lot of these instincts over time. It's kind of weird. But my chickens got it. They're like, oh, this is it. Well, we got champion chickens. My chickens think that I am God. I walk outside and they're like, this guy loves me. He is going to take care of me. And I will go out and drink coffee. The chickens get on my chair with me and I hand feed them. My neighbors can't believe how that it's to me.
Like pet chicken they are?
How pet chicken they are, how cool they are with me. They're all hens. They think I'm a rooster and they will try to go get position for me to mate with them and stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong with you, chickens? You're an idiot. I mean, they're like, I'm like,
Not a rooster.
I'm not your species. But they're just like, oh, here he comes. He's gonna mate with us. I'm like, you're an idiot, chicken. It's so funny, but but they don't do it with anybody else. But I'm the one who really kind of, looks after them more than anything. I give them the best, tastiest treats. I think that's the. I think that's
That's
the.
how you get to woman's heart.
Yeah, it's treats. You give them some treats. I give them leftovers from dinners when I give them, and they're like, oh, here he comes. He's gonna bring us some good stuff. Oh my goodness. Good morning, everyone. I guess let's see if this thing is going to work now. Please, this is an actual PowerPoint. Yep. Okay. That is the key for this instrument that I bought. You actually have to be on a PowerPoint for it to work. All right. This is the pre-do now. So those of you guys that are early get to have an extra practice question. Let me read this, see how this works. This is a release question from an IB test. So let me see. Yeah. Oh man, can I see it? I haven't seen yours yet.
Hey, yo, that's actually smart. What the heck?
I've seen some good ones so far.
This is what I made. I made it in it took me like an hour.
Okay.
An hour?
Roger that.
As long as you can
And you got different ones. So
I got the warheads as bonds, and
so what is this one and this one?
this will be. I think this is adenine and thymine.
Okay, so how many bonds does this represent?
2.
Okay, awesome. You're set. I think your model is going to score well. Your model is excellent. That was a good job. What did you use to build it?
I had to get this website that makes transparent images, and then I took pictures of Sour Patch and some candy boxes.
But you're going to do this? I saw somebody made a short little video of one. I thought it was tripped out.
It's an Android user.
Android.
I didn't do this. I didn't do it on my laptop.
I'm gonna go to another slide whenever time for class starts. So guys, if you have an answer to this one, if you want to practice this one, you need to do it in the next 2 minutes if you're already in here. Oh crud, there's people that are already in it. Why I can't see the chat today? It's weird. Let me go down. There we go. That's better. Now I can see it. Oh my gosh, it's pretty crazy. Really letting go. Sounds like a knife. Ow! Man, this thing is electrocuting the crud out of me today. Huh? Say again? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Santos, I just saw your chat. I was looking at the answers, but then I see it. So if you hear me, yes, ma'am. You, I'm gonna drop my number in there because I'm gonna have to go to another class. Is that okay if we do that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna drop mine.
I actually already have it, I
Oh yeah, I
believe.
thought you did. Yep. Just hit me up after class. Because I've got to actually go to another location. Always and forever. Hey, more exciting. Alrighty, so we've got several answers from you guys so far. Let's see what we have. See if we have any discrepancies in these answers, if they're all the same. It looks like, yeah, universal. Thank you, LeVar. You popped in just as I opened it as another person. So good job. You guys are all correct. It is definitely going to be A. It is going to be A. Let me let these other kids in class real quick. There we go. And what was the word that tipped you guys off that it was actually A? What was the word that tipped you guys off? Coded, that's what tipped you off? Nucleus could have tipped you off. That could have been a tip potentially. Why would you say nucleus? I didn't even know. I don't even remember seeing that in there.
Something right.
What's not right?
No, it's kind of just started texting.
There is a key term that I saw here that really. Okay, from DNA. So you could have done that. You could have used that too, right? So it is. We know that there are three types. There's mRNA, there's rRNA, and tRNA, transfer, ribosomal RNA, and messenger RNA. And the function of the process of what specific function does mRNA perform in the process of making proteins? And really, I would say probably a better term would be, say, synthesizing proteins would probably be the term I'd really want to use. And that would be to bring, right? So you're going to be bringing, their messenger RNA is going to be bringing. So that would have been what I would have been thinking. You know, if you have messenger, that is going to be actually delivering or bringing something. So clamps onto the messenger RNA and uses its information to assemble amino acids. Clamps onto it. What would this be? If it clamps on, what would B be? Which of these? mRNA, tRNA, or rRNA? What do you guys think about this one? Shoot, the chat's blowing up. Oh. You got it, Turner. You were the first contestant. You got it, kid. All right, would be rRNA, ribosomal RNA. Good job. Transports amino acids. There's T. That's a pretty easy one. That's going to be tRNA. And creates another molecule of DNA. What would be the enzyme that would be, you could give me a number of, what would be the one that if you really had to go to, the one that was going to be really involved with bonding nucleotides, with assembling nucleotides, what would D be? You got it, Turner. Man, you're like a lightning bolt today. You're not playing games. That would be DNA polymerase. You got it. And specifically, I think I would say DNA polymerase 3. I think I would go DNA polymerase 3. Man, you're on fire this morning, Turner. Good job. And there were many of you guys who got the correct answer. She was just quick on the draw. You're just like somebody who almost closed the call. That would have been terrifying. All right, so I told you guys I would pick up where I left off last class just for a moment to review what you guys did before we jumped into the next part of the lesson. So let me get that up. We're going to use Diego's work. It was the first one that I opened, and that I saw that was 100% correct. So good job on this, Diego. So here we are. We're going to take a look at his. The thing that I also thought was really good about this is when you got, this part is not too hard. What I would like coming here and going from DNA to RNA to amino acid sequence, that's a pretty straightforward process, and most of you guys are doing really good with that. But is there going to be an effect? And his statement, yeah, the sequence stopped prematurely, absolutely. So if you're stopping at methionine, then you don't get a protein. It's like having the first word in a sentence, but there's nothing that follows. It's not even a sentence fragment. It's just not, it's just a word. So yeah, there's going to be it. But he also, identified that this was going to be a substitution. I've got a reading frame that's exactly the same as the reading frame up here, right? There's not one fewer. There's not one more. You still have 3 codons, right? I mean, excuse me, you have 3 base pairs per codon. So you're good. We know here you can see there's an extra codon right there. This extra codon, or excuse me, this extra nucleotide doesn't complete a codon. And so is there an effect? Sure. And it is a frame shift. It's a frame shift and it's an assertion. It gave us an extra nucleotide. And every base after this, after methionine, actually changed. And so that was a really good point. And here we had another substitution as like we had before, but he said there would not be an effect because the codon is still coding for arginine. So no effect whatsoever. I still get the same word. It would be just like saying, I love you, or I'm mi amore. It's the same thing. There's no difference really in those 2 expressions. They really mean the same thing. All right, so good job. We're going to go back to where we left off. Today, I needed somebody to hit a timer. I don't want any more than 20 minutes of your time at the very most. So please hit a timer so that I can give you guys more time to work. First thing I want to do though is really kind of bring up what is tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but what is the next class going to look like. I want to make sure that you are aware of what it's going to be. So next class, when we do have class, you're going to be presenting. I've seen a lot of your models. They're really good. So far, there's been the feedback I've been able to give has been really small and easy to follow. You guys have really done a good job on all the ones that you've sent so far. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, excuse me, Friday, your camera does have to be on. Students are going to be randomly called. I have a little student generator here, and I have a question generator here, and all it is just names on beans and numbers on beans. So you don't know what question you're going to get. So when you're called, you're going to present your model. You'll have the ability to share your screen. I'll share your screen. You'll present your model, and then I'm going to ask a question. You have to have your camera on, literally looking at us in class. And you'll be asked a question. 3 seconds later, if the question's answered correctly, you score that point. And you'll be asked those 4 questions, and then we'll move on. If you go over 3 seconds, then you don't know the answer, and we move on, and you do not score that point on these questions. Are there any questions about Friday? What's up? Are the questions going to be random? Oh yeah, they're going to be random, for sure. I have no idea what question you'll be. Yes, if you would like to still send me your model to get some feedback, you can send it in an email. Today, I'm going to be honest, though, I'm working on extended essays. The amount of feedback I am able to offer you guys is going to be limited. I am burning the midnight oil. I finished extended essays. Now I've got to make sure I'm doing all the uploads correct to IB, and tonight is the deadline. So I don't have, you may not get the feedback in the time that you would like me to give it. So sorry about that if that happens. Okay, so here we go. So last time you guys, this was your exit ticket. About half of you guys got this correct. So what type of mutation is responsible for new variations? This one is going to be the missense. Still makes sense, but it's a missense. It's a new variation. This is a cutoff. Missense, sorry. That's a hyphen. This should be a hyphen right there. A missense mutation. What type of mutation results in the same phenotype? Well, that one, most everybody got that one. That's going to be silent. Ah, that is going to be silent. A silent mutation gives you the same amino acids, same protein. What is going to stop translation? That was my nonsense. Now, you can have substitution give you a nonsense mutation or a frame shift. It doesn't, we're not really talking about how they happen. We're just talking about the result of them, their result. And the result would be missense, gives you something new, silent, or nonsense. I don't often give trigger warnings, but there's going to be one today. This is a sensitive topic. Most of us have experienced this, including myself. The chances that and I think I've talked to Tracy about it. She knows. This is a tough one for me in some ways. I'm better with it than I used to be, but here we go. So non-disjunction are going to be our topics. This is where we're going to spend most of our time today. I am going to cover structural because it's not often on the test. It's not often on the test, but I do think it is important for you guys. I don't want to teach directly just to the test all the time because you are more likely to experience something associated with this than this. But so non-disjunction is going to be tested for sure. It is going to be tested for sure. And you're going to be tested probably in life by one of the two of these anyway. So let's make sure we understand this. As a review, this is meiosis. In meiosis, you've got two opportunities for non-disjunction. This is where non-disjunction occurs. Here you have your kinetochore, you have the centromere. The kinetochore is the total part, the centromeres together that grabs homologous chromosomes. You'll see that the spindle fiber drags all the chromosomes to one side. So in this case, all the homologous chromosomes are going to get pulled over to one side. That's an uneven distribution of these chromosomes. You have a second chance for this to occur. And it occurs right here during meiosis 2. In this case, same situation happens, except it's going to be with the sister chromatids, and they don't disjoin. Either way, you get the same result. Now, not exactly the same result. You're going to get non-disjunction, but if it happens in meiosis 2, you can see it only affects 2 of the 4 gametes right here. These gametes are still haploid. These gametes still are haploid. No problem there. These are going to be healthy gametes. Here, you've got 1 extra chromosome, and the ones that they robbed are going to have 1 fewer chromosomes. These will not live. These are going to die. You can't live with fewer chromosomes, but you can possibly live with extras. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. You'll see. Trisomy is Down syndrome. I'm curious, does anybody have a family member or friend of the family that has Down syndrome, has this disorder, has this mutation? It's rare if I have a class that doesn't have at least one family member. Okay, it's one of those rarities. It doesn't seem to be the case in this class. What you'll see is this term trisomy. Trisomy means 3. Some is going to be body. Remember, some means body. In this case, chromosomal bodies. If you look at the 21st pair of chromosomes, you can see that there is an extra set of chromosomes here. That person has an extra chromosome. Now, most of the time, a female will spontaneously abort this fetus. Your spontaneous abortion means like a miscarriage. Biologically, we call this a spontaneous abortion. You get extra chromosomes, you get extra protein, your body detects that abnormality and says this is probably a fetus that's not going to develop, and the body will, just abort that fetus spontaneously, naturally. That fetus is going to be lost. Sometimes, especially if it's only a partial, it's only just a little portion of the chromosome, the person can be born and develop into an adult. These are some symptoms of Down syndrome. These are some outward symptoms of Down syndrome. Does not speak to birth defects such as heart disease and abnormalities in the brain structure. The frontal cortex would also would have some changes. Cardiovascular health is limited. There is often kidney disease with these persons. And usually persons with Down syndrome have an expected life life expectancy would be in their 40s to 50s if they are extremely well taken care of. This is if they have a very supportive family or live in a country that is able to help subsidize them and take care of them. Usually they are not going to be able to go out and live on their own. It depends on the amount of that replication of the chromosome. Now there's others as well. There's alterations in the structure. And I'm going to deal with these first before we really get back into trisomies. So first one is going to be an inversion. An inversion is just exactly what you think. So imagine that these are all genes, and then we take this gene and we invert it. We switch it. We go backwards. So what's going to happen is instead of it reading A, U, G, C, G, C, now it's going to be C, G, C, G, U, A. Literally the genes are going to read backwards. That is going to be a huge problem. Usually it depends on where what these genes are. You basically lose the function of these genes. So if these genes codes for something as simple as, I don't know, trying to think like your fingernails, that's not a big problem, right? You can live without fingernails. It may be an uncomfortable life, but it's something that you could deal with. If it has something to do with digestive enzymes and you can no longer digest food, that's a whole other ballgame. That could be a very difficult thing. Duplication is just that. You just duplicate. These regions here have been duplicated. So I get 2 copies of this. This is also an issue. You don't want to express, when these genes get turned on, you'll get 2 times the expression of a trait that you normally would get. And that's not typically something that you want to do. It could be something trivial. You just express, you produce a ton of earwax. Maybe kind of weird, kind of gross, but you can clean that and keep up with it. But if it's something more, it could be really a problem. It depends on what those genes are actually expressing. Deletions, this is very much like an inversion. You're going to lose whatever genetic code that you have there. That's gone. That's lost. You don't get that back. And often these diseases are deleterious. They are going to cause the death of an organism. This is a translocation, and this is a translocation of a particular set of chromosomes. And I'm going to show you an example of this. This is an example of one of my really good friends, and it was his son. Play a little video. He actually has a translocation from chromosome 4 to 20. And I will show you this. Let me keep my annotations. Oh, but oh, come on, you can do it. Control, click. Let me pause it for a moment. There we go. Share my video again. And do me a favor if you're timing me and pause while I do this part. I'm going to take just a moment to bring up. This was, and I would say Noah, as well as this is my friend's son, but I would say that Noah was also a friend. And he's a good kid. Oh, crud, you can't hear it. People are saying they can't hear it. Thank you for telling me that. The kids in here were like, I can hear it. I can hear it through your computer. All right, share sound. There we go. Sorry.
Me right now is my relationship with the Lord, and also my relationship with my family and health. You know, after going through a situation like this, it's hard to take your health for granted. I mean, I used to take my health for granted all the time, but after this, I was like, no way. You know, it blew me away pretty much. I mean, stuff like that does, but you know, what was really odd about that was, You know, I'm going through something that 60, 70, or 80-year-olds won't even go through. I was already a Christian before I was diagnosed, but then I started to ask questions like, why did this happen to me? Or why is it that I'm the one having to deal with this disease? I realized that, you know, God was not finished with me yet. And it's kind of like the story of David and Goliath, you know, how David was facing this huge Goliath and it was so big, like the cancer, but I realized that God was a lot bigger than the cancer and he could do things that the doctors could not do. And from that point on, Jesus started to change my life in ways I never thought imagined. As I'm walking through this storm, I just keep thinking to myself, Christ is with me the whole way, and he's never gonna leave me or forsake me. And I am safe in his hands, and he's got a great purpose for my life. There were days I felt like, oh man, you know, Lord, why is this happening to me and stuff like that. And I just, I came to realize probably like on the second cancer treatment that the Lord was using this for his glory, and that what the devil meant for evil, that God was going to use this situation for good. Dad was, you know, just wondering, why can't I just take this whole thing away from you and put it on myself? And I just said, Dad, what if I wasn't going
That's
through
my friend
this,
right there. That's
how would I know all the good stuff that God has taught me? Well, of course, the downer was the fact that I got diagnosed with this disease, but the upper has been all the support, all the family, all the good times we've had together so far, and just all the stuff I've been able to do. I just look back on that and I say, man, I'm more than an overcomer. You know, I've been able to do all this even though I've been dealing with such a horrible disease. And you know what I've realized too is how many people have been touched by my story and my scenario. I think that's why I'm going through this, you know, to inspire others and to point other people closer to the Lord through what I'm going through. Cancer does suck, but Christ is better, and that's what I've come to figure out, or to realize. You know, even in all these afflictions, all these tribulations and trials, the Lord has always been there, and he's always been supportive, and he's just better than all of that.
Yeah, so that was my friend's son. Wonderful kid. It was really difficult in the end, especially to have conversations with him. You know, I would talk to him. And you know, this was just 7 years ago. And you know, me as a biologist, I come at it, you know, thinking about the expression of these genes and what's going on. And he had a very different take of it. Many of you guys don't know, I'm not a Christian. I'm not somebody of faith. And then we would have conversations. And of course, I'm not going to say, well, no, you're so wrong or whatever. I had to, you know, support him and do everything I could to make him feel as comfortable with what the reality that he was facing. And I really want to bring up the importance of this in that you guys are going to be parents and you're an organism yourself. There's going to be things that are going to happen. You have to sometimes make some decisions on what you're going to do. Noah himself, his parents gave him a decision. They could have potentially saved his life, but at 14 years old, they would have to amputate his arm. The cancer started in his shoulder. He would have lost his arm and his shoulder. The chance of him surviving, if they did the amputation, was going to be 20%. If they didn't do the amputation, the chance of his survival was going to drop to about 10%. Now, you think those are pretty small numbers, but 10% is half. You're cutting your chances by half. He opted to keep his arm and shoulder, and he lost his battle with that disease. You're gonna have to be able to make decisions about your health care. And I'm really feel lucky that my friend had the best, he had a good job and he was able to take care of his son. Otherwise, this disease would have bankrupted the family. Put yourself in the best positions you can so that you can tackle the difficult things that are coming up. All this kid wanted to do is just graduate high school. He was just like, I just got to survive long enough to graduate high school, and he didn't quite make it. He was a junior. He was your age whenever he died. It was a very tough thing. All right, you can hit time again. Now my daughter, you guys also know I have a daughter, and my daughter, we thought she might have had trisomy as well. We went and had a test to see whether she had it. When we were looking at ultrasounds, it indicated that she might actually have trisomy. So we were faced with the choice, do we have a child that was going to have Down syndrome? It's a tough thing to do, to come home and talk to your wife and your wife talk to her husband and decide, do we want to abort or do we not want to abort? These are questions that some of you guys will face. Not everybody here is going to have to face a pregnancy that could result, that has a problem with a mutation. Some of you in this room or in this Zoom room are going to have you or a friend of the family or a family member that is going to have to face these questions. The more you understand these, the better off you're going to be in terms of how you're going to deal with them when they come along. Or if you have a child and they have a translocation, knowing why they have this problem and being able to make the best informed decision in regards to it. All right, we're going to go to our guided practice. Before we do that, I'm opening it up for some questions. Do you guys have any questions for what even about Noah? We'll be frank and honest about them, or even about my daughter. Turned out she did not have that. Okay, so there is a question. I'll get it after I get this up for you guys. So let's go to your question. How did they identify the translocation? Well, that particular gene, essentially what it does, and I'll go back to the PowerPoint just for a second so I can have something blank to write on. That particular gene or that particular cancer that he had, the research people had done, geneticists had identified where that gene was being expressed. And I'll try to explain it a little bit. Let me add a slide. New slide. All right, here we go. So in this case, imagine that this is your gene, right? I think I can get it right on this. Please let this be right on here. There we go. This is your gene. His problem was this was going to be a gene. Let's call this is the gene for bones. So this whole length here is a chromosome. In here on chromosome 20 is the gene that codes for bone growth. So his bone, when he hit his growth spurt, when he was 13 years old, his bones started growing and they would not stop. Where that gene got cut off, where that translocation happened, where that translocation occurred, remember it's a cutting and moving of a cut and move. So this is chromosome 20. Let's say the cut happened right here. This is going to be a cut. And where that cut happened, this is also chromosome 20, this sequence where it got cut, and let's say that cut right here is right in this particular area. This would be like a regulatory site, regulation site. So if you want to regulate genes, like it's producing saliva is a trait. It's protein. You don't want to salivate when you're not eating. Otherwise, you'll just be drooling all the time. What happened is Noah lost that regulatory site. So his gene for bone growth was on. I'm talking like it was on all the time and it would not stop growing. So his skeleton had tumors all over it. These bones would not stop growing. Now they could have removed the bones that were at first, that when they first identified it, they could have removed those bones, which were in his shoulder and his arm, but he would have literally lost, imagine this was his head, he would have not had a shoulder. It would have, this would be your shoulder with your arm. They would have had to remove the scapula and his arm. That was going to be a very difficult surgery for him. Even survival wasn't guaranteed for sure, but it was a very difficult surgery. The cutting of that site is for that he no longer had the gene to turn it off. He never had a regulation site that said, "Hey, bones, it's time to stop growing." That was removed, and that's what killed him. If that answers your question. I'm gonna go back. Any other questions about him? Okay, so what you guys are going to do is you're going to give us some presentations about, please keep logged in. So hopefully that works. Hopefully that works. There we go. You guys are all going to have different sets of chromosomes, of mutations that you're going to have to deal with. So the group 1, you're going to have this one. You're going to have to look at this karyotype. And so where is the mutation? You'll have to look at these genes. And once you find out which gene it actually is that has the trisomy, that has an extra copy of it, then at that point, you'll be able to be like, okay, this is this mutation. What mutation is? You'll have to Google it. You have to figure it out. Trisomy of which chromosome? So let's look at number 1, 2, 3. They're all in pairs, right? These are all in pairs. So trisomy hasn't happened there. Once you do trisomy, whatever the chromosome number is, trisomy, and just put whatever the number is, you will be able to figure out what that mutation is. And then you're just going to do some really easy things. Just a description of the cause. What causes it? What causes it? What are some symptoms? And there's 2 slides. So in this case, this is the same one. This one, what are some symptoms? Description of what's going to, of the cause, why did it occur? And so that's just going to be the trisomy where that occurred. And then give me an image of the, of maybe not the cause, or an image of a phenotypic. So an image, maybe not of the cause is not really the right thing to say, but an image of that person, or a phenotype of that person. I really shouldn't have put the cause. I'll change that for the next class. Are there any questions before I put you in the breakout room? Is autism the result of a mutation? I do not know. I don't know that they know the cause for autism. I do not know. I honestly don't think that they actually know what that is, why we have that. But everybody's going to have 2 slides. So this will be group 1, the first 2. Group 2 is going to have the second 2, and then 3, 4, and then ultimately 5. So you can see this is trisomy of the X chromosome, right? What's going on there? Something's happening. Okay. I'm going to break you guys into groups. And we'll give you guys, this is going to take some time. We'll give you guys will present these when we come back. Give you guys 20 minutes. That'll be way more than you need. And again, make sure that you're doing both slides. So you've got, this will be group 1, the first 2, and then group 2, you have the second 2, group 3, the third pair, and then 4th pair, and then finally the 5th pair. And that's, here we go. You got 20 minutes, and you should easily be able to get it done at that time. I'm going to go through and make some changes to this document real quick. What do you mean? Oh, it's chromosomal mutation. Chromosomal mutations. Jump in there, see what's up. Hello, group one. Are you guys able to share your screen? You are?
Let me
Okay.
check.
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
yeah,
It
and
does.
I can check with you guys too. As long as you guys are talking to each other and communicating, you can get this done. I don't know that you necessarily have to. You just need to be able to see who's on which slide. Just make sure that you guys on the first.
We do slide 2 and 3, correct?
Yeah, slide 2 and
Okay.
3. The first 2 slides that have any information on it. Yep.
Okay.
All right, you
Thank
guys
you.
be good. Play in the street. Have you guys figured out your mutation yet?
We figured out the first one is called triple X syndrome.
Triple
And
X
right
syndrome. Yeah.
Right now we're looking up the symptoms. It seems like it often doesn't have symptoms, but it can cause learning disability or delayed development.
It can cause some delayed development. It is varied. It is varied. There was an athlete years ago that was going to participate in the Olympics. You might find that in your research. And she was, I can't remember if she was triple X or she was XXY, but she had a chromosomal mutation of the sex chromosomes, which gave her a lot of extra physical prowess. She was extremely fast. And there was some argument against the people she was competing against, whether they wanted, whether it was fair to allow her to compete because she had a genetic advantage. She was much faster and stronger than the other women she was racing against. I can't remember. I want to say that she was in South Africa, and I can't remember, but there was you might see that in your research as well. And I'm not sure if it was triple X or if it was double XY that lady had. But yeah, it's not something that's vastly different. It's not usually going to cause a huge problem for a person. All right, I just want to make sure you guys found it. I'm gonna go to the next room. Hello, beautiful people. So you guys have the classic. You got Downs. Excellent. This is a relatively common one that you're more likely to occur than others. Okay, looks like you guys are on your way. All right, I'm gonna jump to the next one. Hello, beautiful people.
Hello.
So let's see, what do you guys have? Ooh, George, who's in your photo? Is that an old family photo or something? Who are these people?
That's my dad and his siblings
Oh my God. Where is that?
in Ghana.
That's fantastic. Which one is your papa?
Far right.
All right. All right. He's like, I'm gonna have a baby named George. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Let me get back to the point. I love old family photos. Have you guys figured out what this is yet? Which trisomy of which chromosome?
I believe it's the third chromosome, right?
It's the what?
It's trisomy of the third chromosome.
No, keep looking. It's not the third chromosome. Check it out. If there's the first, second, or yeah, there's something else. Trisomy of a different one. It's actually 13. Look at 13. Look at 13. That's a really bad image of this one. It's not the best one I could have used because it's kind of confusing. When you look at chromosome 1, 2, and 3, there's an extra pair for each of those. Man, that's a bad one. I should have used a different one. It's 13. What is trisomy 13? That's what you guys are looking for, trisomy 13. That's a really bad image. I should have put that. Edwards syndrome. Okay, let's go. All right, coming back. All right, I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna go see the last group. People, so you guys have Edwards syndrome.
Yes, and we're done with everything already.
Oh, you guys are done. Whoa, gotcha.
Can you check our cause though? Because I don't know if like it's
Yeah, I mean that is
not.
it's non-disjunction in the chromosome number, but I would obviously it's chromosome 18, and that's exactly what it is. The cause
Okay.
is just it's just non-disjunction, right? It's just those that chromosome did not those homologous or sister chromatids did not get separated during meiosis. This is actually a lot more common than people realize. And often people don't know it because, I don't know, any of you guys have had a parent that had a miscarriage? Or maybe you don't even.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, not that you know of, and that's a good point. A lot of times these, a miscarriage, people never even realize, oh, that's a 5-minute warning. People don't even realize that they're pregnant before they've lost that embryo, that zygote. That embryo starts to develop, and the body recognizes if there's something that was going on, and and it literally will just slough off that embryo along with the lining of the uterus.
So you can have a miscarriage and not even know it?
Yeah, you can have a miscarriage and not even know it. You know, you would, before you even realize you're pregnant, you would lose that embryo. So the body does a pretty good job of recognizing when there's an issue. Sometimes though, doesn't happen, and that fetus go ahead and develops. And so I don't know. There may be. We lost a child. We had one that was in the second trimester, and we lost it, and that was, oh my gosh, that was hard. We and she wasn't even that far along where we had even named that fetus at that point. But we were, we were excited. We were excited. I remember, we lost that child. We found out that we had lost that child, and you regret it. I remember I had to go to work the next day thinking, gosh, she had to go to work the next day, and she knew she was carrying a fetus that was dead, and it was tough for her. Then of course we had to go in a few days later and induce labor so that she could pass that fetus. It was tough. So sometimes these things happen, and when they do happen, I feel a lot more powerful in dealing with it, right? Because I kind of understand why it's happening. I don't feel like it's something that's, just there's power in knowledge and understanding. All right, I'm going to bounce it. Dun, What's that, baby? Yeah, say hi to him. Say, hey, Jonathan. Mosade. Hey, what shoes do you wear, baby? Uh-huh. They're high tops, but they're leather. They're blue shoes. Are they? I'm not I'm like really careful about getting shoes, right? Like I want to be, ow, goodness. But I go for like utility over style. Huh? Utility over style all day long, right? I'm not going to be a slave to fashion. I want to make sure that because I've got neuropathy. I can't feel anything from my shin down. I have no feeling hardly at all in my left foot at all. Like I'm talking about, I can walk around on a numb foot. It's really crap going downstairs for sure because you lose your footing. I've fallen down those stairs twice. Have you? So I want to have a lot of arch support, tons of it, so that I have maximum stability in my feet because I can't feel that left foot. It's to me, it's a matter of danger, and I won't take the elevator because I want as much practice as I can to keep my abilities as good as they possibly could be, so that when I'm older, I can do it. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, if you have some sort of physical challenge, sure. You guys are young and able-bodied. You guys ought to be able to. Well, coolio. All right, I'm going to make sure you guys can share screen. You guys are going to share screen, and we're going to go group 1. All right, Diego, you ready? You're the man for group one. You're going to share your screen and tell us about it. You should be able to go down to the bottom. There should be a little yellow button. That's green. Well, I'm colorblind. I'm a mess. I don't see color well, and I can't film the left. All right. See if it works. Application. There you go. And just find the document. All right, what I'm going to do is oh, not everybody's here yet. Okie dokie, Pinokie. So we are all back. Welcome back. I'm going to call on somebody. They're going to share their screen. They're going to walk us through it. Diego has got the first one. So be ready. When we get to your group, you'll share screen and tell us all about it. Yep, we can see you. There you go. This is also a good dry run for Friday, right? Tested you guys out. Let's see how this works. All right. Yeah, can you display that document fully? Go to see on see that little arrow in the top right corner? It's like a box with the arrow going out to the top right corner. It says under next is previous and next, and then there's that little kind of an opaque box. Let's see. Why is it not? Okay, but then you got to share screen again because you're not showing us the actual document. Share screen again because look at mine. Look at my screen, baby. So go back to share screen, find that. Ow, this thing is electrocuting the dog out of me. It is, yeah, but why? I mean, you would think it'd equalize at this point. It's every time I touch it, it electrocutes me. Okay, what I'll do is I will display it and then you will explain it. How about that? That'll make it easier. This is a good way for me to kind of beta test this. You guys had Klinefelters? All right, there you go, baby. They can hear you. They can hear you, I think.
All right, so for the mutation name, it did Klinefelter syndrome, and then for the trisomy of which chromosome is X, and then so what they did, it was for the symptoms, they did taller than average stature, absent, delayed or incomplete puberty, small firm testicles, small penis, for the first slide. All right, and then for the second one, it was the same. The syndrome, chromosome X. The description of the cause was the syndrome is caused by an additional X chromosome in males. This chromosome carries extra copies of genes which interfere with the development of the testicles, which means they will produce less testosterone. And then there's an image of how it kind of looks like.
Can you guys hear me now? Yeah. Oh, okay, I don't know. Well, why did you guys let me struggle like that? It took somebody at home to tell me that they couldn't hear me. I was saying that the severity of Klinefelters can be different depending on how much of that extra X chromosome that the male gets. And with therapy, sometimes these males can actually father children as well. So yeah, it could happen. And you saw that it was 1 in 500 males. 1 in 500. Okay, so group 2. Let's see who group 2. I think. Let me see. Let me go back. Where's my groups? So group 2. Abel, this is you. Hurry, hurry, hurry. We've got to get through.
Okay.
15 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you like a champ.
Mutation name, triple X syndrome, trisomy of which chromosome X. Symptoms, affects only females, may cause learning disability, delayed development, or speech delay, may experience seizures and kidney abnormalities, and may cause tall stature or flaccid muscles. Is that how you say it? Not 100% sure. Okay. Description of cause. Triple X syndrome is caused because of an extra copy of the X chromosome. Most cases are caused by non-disjunction, which gives an individual an extra X from a sperm or egg cell.
What about now? All right, there we go. So what you'll see is usually it's going to be non-disjunction from the female. The female will have non-disjunction, and she'll give past her daughter both of her X chromosomes, and then the father will give that extra X. If the father doesn't give the extra X, then you get Klinefelters. If the father passes a Y, well, then it's a male. If the father passes that X, well, then it's female. So the same mutation from a female giving 2 X chromosomes to the egg, the father either passing an extra Y, which will give you Klinefelters, or an extra X will give you triple X syndrome. But it's the same result. It's just the father will determine the sex of the child and how that mutation is going to be expressed. Okay, Down syndrome. The next contestant on this is going to be, so breakout rooms. Let me go for somebody in this room. Oh, that's Randy. Randy, that's your group.
Our mutation is Down syndrome, and the 21st chromosome has trisomy. Some symptoms are developmental delays, distinct facial appearance, poor muscle tone, and flexible joints. The abnormal cell division is resulted in extra genetic material from chromosome 21.
Right, and it's I am speaking through Randy. Yay. What?
Turn the volume off of that one so that.
Yeah, I just killed the volume. So I'm speaking through Randy, Randy's computer. And this is, if you have a child that could potentially have Downs or any of these abnormalities, any of these trisomies, then during prenatal development, you can have ultrasound And you can find out whether there's phenotypically that fetus is developing, in a normal way. And we had pictures of our daughter from the ultrasounds that indicated that she was going to have Downs, that she did have Downs, that she had trisomy 21. We had a karyotype. They literally stuck a needle into the abdomen of my Patty, and they took a cell that was undergoing mitosis, and they pulled out all the chromosomes, arranged them, and it was literally something we got in 5 minutes.
Today's Wednesday.
Oh, it's Winston. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so upset. Ah! Oh, well, you guys did a good job. I will see you guys on Friday with your project. I'm so sorry. I thought we had an extra 10 minutes for Wednesday.
I'm gonna leave the meeting.
Huh?
I'm gonna leave the meeting.
You're leaving me?
No, I'm leaving it. So they're not gonna hear you anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Adios, kids.
Mr. Pope, did you see my remind? Just thumbs up or thumbs down, I guess.